Yo, what's poppin'? What's poppin'? This is On The Rock with Stone and Kawaida Tunakuchiki. I'm your host, Stone Ft Maria, and you know what it is. It's all about the good vibes. No time for bad vibes, just mad vibes. And Boychal, wherever you are listening to us from Kawaida Tunakuchiki. I had the pleasure to meet a very incredible person who has attended this African summit, and I just love it if he shared with us how the experience has been. And as you know, tunakucheki. So, karibu sana. This is who?
Asante. This is Calvin Shikuku.
Yes.
I am an innovator and climate change enthusiast. I run an innovation center for young people in Mathare here in Nairobi, who are passionate about climate change and want to do something about their communities.
Yes. So you've heard him. So climate change is one very crucial thing and very crucial aspect in this current world, and it's a very great initiative that you have there.
Yeah.
Because I think climate change is one of the most interesting topics that we have currently in this world. So I'd like to know, man, because you know this podcast is all about the boy child. What inspired you? Like, what was your driving force that made you take this path in fighting and bargaining for climate change activities for the young people?
I grew up in Mathare, and in Mathare, as you know, there's a high rate of crime. And while growing up, I used to go to a local school. And what kept me in school was feeding program. Some of my friends dropped out, went into crime, and they died. And I'd always remembered that food kept me in school. So I wanted children to keep going to school. And so I was thinking, why not come with a cheaper solution for feeding programs in school? And that's how we started our renewable energy project.
Okay, so most of the people who will be listening to this like scared that this guy used to go to school because of chakula. They laugh it out, but they don't even understand the struggle that is there for a parent out there just to put food on the table, especially Mathare. Mathare is a slum, for those who don't know. Mathare is a slum in Kenya. So is this program of yours just a food program, or it entails much more than that?
It entails much more than that. We are creating renewable energy solutions. And people, in the ghetto hear about climate change and they wonder, what is this? And those who do advocacy don't give them an option. So as we do advocacy, as we raise awareness, tell people about climate change, we're also selling cheaper products to them. And the issue of people laughing off feeding program and all that, that's the truth. On average, people who live in slums, Mathare and Anini, they do not have enough money, and they live from hands to mouth. And that means any little money they get, they need to spend it wisely. It's very tough. And so that's why the solution we are trying to provide supports not only schools, their households, food vendors. And on top of that, we are in the waste management ecosystem, and we are casting a wider net. We want a young person who does waste management, ule mse wa tako apate do enough kwa hiyo tako, ndio asirudi kwa crime. Because as I said, many young people collect waste in the ghetto, and they do it because it's the only profession. You don't need any papers.
And you don't need any experience.
Yeah, but if it does not give them any money, then there is where the problem happens. And so they find waste management unsustainable. Yeah.
So yeah. I'll have this question. On The Rock, we normally talk about the boy child. And you've mentioned something very, very, very important, that our sewatako, when you go pale nje, most of them are people who have reformed, people who have been to crime before. And if you look at it, the crime margin, most jela mingi zimejaa wanaume, jela mingi zimejaa maboys. Right now, hadi kama mimi ni boy nikisimama mahali, someone won't find me credible enough to give me an opportunity, to give me a space to speak, to give me a space to just air out my opinion. And boy child wanaangamia, especially for the boy child in Mathare slums. So being raised in Mathare, man, is not an easy task. Najua umekuwa exposed to a lot of things. You've been exposed to crime, you've been exposed to theft, you've been exposed to some of the things and the vices that I cannot even mention right now.
Yeah.
But how did you manage to pull up that, to grow up, be a man that you are right now, be a climate changer activist right now? What is that thing? What is that special thing that made you be who you are and not fall into crime? Because most of the people from Mathare, their resolution is crime.
I will say it's tough. It's tough because I also almost gave up.
Yeah.
But I think something that works is man-to-man talk, boy-to-boy talk. And
Man talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think people who I looked up to while growing up have always kept me on a straight line.
So let me ask you a question, man.
Yeah.
Who is your role model?
I have many.
Who has that been? You know, I had this. There was this someone who was saying this one time that a boy will always look for someone to look up to, even if it's a friend, a teacher,
Yeah.
a soldier, someone. But you said you have so many role models. Can you just mention but a few?
For this purpose, I'll mention one. This is a man while growing up. I wanted to be like him. He's called David Waithaka.
David Oidaka.
Yeah, he's a pastor, but a philanthropist, and has done a lot. And the most beautiful thing about him, he grew up in Mathare as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So he's this old man who used to come back and tell us, like, you boys need to work hard so that you can also make a step. And we used to see the nice car he drives. That was the life we wanted.
Yeah.
But there was a catch-22, and the catch-22 is you have to go to school, you have to do what he says, you have to remain inspired, you have to work hard. So he's the one who made us feel like we need to persevere enough,
Yeah.
not run for quick cash and all that. So he's a guy that has inspired a lot of young people from Mathare and different places like Koch and all that. And
So would you say that in line to fighting crime,
Yeah.
maybe, and fighting the vices that the boy child is going through in the current society, would you say that having a good role model is part of the equation of making a responsible man for the future?
ideally, that's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
And I want to echo that to every person listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
You may not know who is watching you, what kid is. Some you might. There is a quote that you might be the only Bible somebody else is reading out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Straight facts, man.
Yeah. So I think role models play a key role because listen, there is nothing you cannot go to Canaan if you have no place you can compare to Canaan. If you've not seen the vision, if you've not found something you can liken it to. If you only see Egypt, for example, and I'm talking about biblical Egypt, not this one. If you only see Egypt and you live in Egypt, all your friends come from Egypt, and there is nothing about the other side that can inspire you to want to live on the other side. You are not going anywhere. And that is the role that role models play. These are people who keep you on track, they keep you on check. They are people who you will listen to even when you do not want to. There are people who can sit down with you and tell you, no, what, Calvin, you're wrong on this, and this is what you need to do. So role models play a key role.
And I think that is one thing that the men nowadays lack. For instance, right now, Nezakuwa, I'm passing through a lot. I don't have a role model, or maybe my role model cannot help me at the moment. But we have these moments where, as a man, we have these manic depressions and all that, where nasikia sijui aje, but I don't even have the right words to explain this to. And in light with having a role model, I think society has brought us in this manner where you're always expected to bottle things up because you're a man. You're always expected to not to complain about things because you're a man. And I'm sure some of these things that we feel inside, the things that as men we are not able to speak to someone out there, these are some of the things that make us be the major bracket of people who are involved in crime. And I'd really want to know, how did this mentor of yours, the person that she was looking up to, how did he help you manage your mental struggles and being able to evade all that drugs, all that violence, and all that have you and have you not?
Male chauvinism, let me call it that,
Yeah, chauvinism.
is so deep rooted and so retrogressive in our society as we speak. And this prevents you from seeing things holistically. You see, it's not bad for a man to have responsibilities in the community,
Yeah.
but you need to be transformed to see those responsibilities as progressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the responsibilities we take up put us behind instead of taking us forward.
Yeah.
And so, a role model, for me, the beauty about this particular role model is how he was intriguing my mind and poking my mind about
Yes.
issues the way they are in the world.
Showing you the greater thing,
Yeah,
the greater
this
side.
guy even told me what gerrymandering is, just to understand how people split boundaries for votes, for example.
Yeah.
As a young boy, as a young man, if you start seeing such perspectives, then you start knowing how you need to live your life safely.
Yes.
Because another problem that we have in our society is being used, for example, by politicians and so many young men.
I'm fallen.
Yeah. And it's because of the energy that they have. You know, young people are very energetic and all that. The boy child is very strong.
Very strong.
So you are
We
put
are the
on the
leaders of
front
tomorrow,
line.
they say.
You are put on the front line, you are put on the spot where things are very dangerous and they are very hot. And
Yeah.
you're used and you lose your life.
So man, Buichel, wherever you're listening to us, manzi, usikubali, don't even allow yourself to fall into that hot soup of the lies, the politics these politicians give us. They tell us that we're the leaders of tomorrow, and yet we have the ability, we have the strength, we have the numbers, we have the ambition, the vision to lead today. So this was a very, very, very special episode, man, and you had it. For you to have your life right and for you to have a better perspective and a better understanding of your life, you need to have a role model, someone who intrigues you, someone who gives you a different perspective of the world, someone who challenges you to be a better version of yourself every day and all day, manzi. So thank you so much for everyone that has been listening to us. I'd really love if you'd maybe shared with us the handles of your organization, your personal handles as well, so that the listeners can be able to follow through and be part of this conversation as well.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms. I'm called Calvin Shikuku. Calvin Shikuku. And on TikTok, you can also find me as OCS Kenya.
OCS Kenya.
OCS Kenya. For my organization, Motobricks or Motobricks Innovation Center is the place to be.
Yeah.
Glad you're listening. Thank you.
So next time we'll be talking about the Motobricks Center next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was On The Rock with Stone kama kawaida tunakucheki. I was your host, Stone Ft Maria, and tuned in with me today was Calvin Shikuku. Thank you so much for coming, man.
Pick up.
Shukran.
On the go, any professional.